Welcome. Today, I'll be embarking on a journey which by the end will result in me being fluent in Japanese at an N1 level, if not hopefully native. In order to make introductions short, I live in your average town, your average state, classic lower middle class, 20 years old with not a lot of money. And this is my first time ever attempting to learn a language, so I figured why not make it a challenge and post it online to hold myself accountable. I'm sure that will age well. Anyways, I just wanted to make it a point that there is nothing majorly different from me and you. Unless you're a girl. And that's strictly has to do with anatomy. That way, you can't have an excuse after seeing another person succeed while you wait around for the right time. I don't blame you. It's a phase most people have to go through to grow. However, the time is now. So, let the journey begin. Okay, so let's rewind it back a couple weeks. Before tracking my hours and learning Japanese, I'd say I probably had around 20-ish solid hours spent with the language. What does this mean exactly? Well, for me, after that amount of time, I could read most hiragana and katakana if I spent enough time looking at it and the font wasn't anything crazy. Believe me, we all know how fonts can get. Anyways, I hadn't learned any kanji yet. I couldn't necessarily write in hiragana or katakana either, as I still don't know the stroke order for almost all the characters. You might be saying, well, what'd you do during those 20 hours? I don't really know. I know how to say a small handful of words, though, in Japanese with pretty decent pronunciation. However, again, I wouldn't be able to spell them. Some examples would be like, daijoubu, gomen, suminasen, arigato, kaizoku, wakatta, kawaii, etc. Again, max is probably like 15 to 20 words total at this point. And you're probably wondering at this point, and just how is his pronunciation so good? He sounds just like a native. Well, that's just because I'm better. Well, kind of. Most of it actually just comes from watching anime or listening to Japanese/English podcasts or music, but that's besides the point. The reason I do this is to help with immersion and help get my ears more used to the foreign sounds and subtleties of the Japanese language. I don't necessarily need to actually understand everything I'm hearing because that'd be impossible, but getting used to these sounds makes it easier for you to pronounce these words after enough listening. Now fast forward to the current day. I've just finished my first week of keeping track, I know, you guys are proud, and actually having a goal, which I will touch on later. Quick disclaimer though, when it comes to tracking study hours, I will not be including any anime I watch in my stats unless it is in Japanese subtitles, as I've found that even when watching anime in sub, as long as the subtitles are still English, I'm not actually paying that much attention to the Japanese side of it. I'm just reading the subtitles. The same goes for Japanese music or any Japanese podcast. As long as it's not my main thing I'm focused on while listening, I've chosen not to count it towards my total hours. Don't hate me for that. In my opinion, just blindly listening will still help your ears get accustomed to all the foreign sounds. However, other than the occasional repeated word you might catch, unless you're actually paying attention, it really won't do much else for you, at least at this point. Now, if you want to know the hours I spend on this end of the spectrum, I'm usually listening to Japanese music or Japanese podcasts anytime I'm working. As for anime or Japanese videos like street interviews with natives, drumroll please, it's probably only a couple hours a day, give or take. Come on guys, what do you think, I'm a degen? Again, with all this, some days I might not listen to any Japanese media. But I try to, as I like to think it helps subliminally when it comes to learning a language. So, the moment we've all been waiting for. To kick off this week, my stats for Monday were 22 minutes of kanji, 24 minutes of hiragana and katakana, 40 minutes of vocab, and 30 minutes of reading for a total of 1 hour 56 minutes. Next up is Tuesday with 19 minutes of hiragana and katakana, 7 minutes of kanji, 27 minutes of vocab, and 10 minutes of reading for a total of 1 hour 3 minutes. After that, we got Wednesday with 15 minutes of hiragana and katakana, 30 minutes of kanji, 14 minutes of vocab, and 1 hour and 6 minutes of reading for a total of 2 hours and 5 minutes. Following that is Thursday, where I only practice kanji for 45 minutes. Hey, sometimes we have off days. Next up is Friday, though, with 25 minutes of hiragana and katakana, 48 minutes of vocab, 42 minutes of reading, and 24 minutes of kanji for a total of 2 hours and 19 minutes. Because I had somewhat of a busy weekend, though, I'm going to include Saturday and Sunday together, where I had 19 minutes of kanji, 10 minutes of reading, and 23 minutes of hiragana and katakana. All this adds to a grand total of 9 hours for the first week, plus the 20 hours before keeping track, which brings us to 29 hours total. Now, I wasn't sure how I wanted to show my progress, since I can't really show me studying for 10 plus hours and have it be anywhere near interesting. So, in the meantime, I'll just speed up a couple different study sessions while I talk. Now, for hiragana and katakana, I personally used Anki and a website called gifford.com, which is a quiz for hiragana and katakana. Once I got pretty good at knowing which character made which sound, I started watching simple hiragana and katakana quizzes on YouTube without the romaji and would see if I could read the word relatively quickly. At this point, I'm not too worried about knowing what all those words mean. I mean, there's a lot of friggin' words. It's more about getting used to reading in hiragana and katakana. Now, I still need to practice more on the stroke order, which I plan on doing next week. And this is just going to help you remember all the characters more. Remember what they told you in school? What I found works best for me with hiragana and katakana is to try and remember the patterns as quickly as possible, as it is a huge help. For example, the character for he is the same as be and pe. You'll also notice this in sa and za, or ku and gu, and so on. So, when you see pe, you know it has that sound, and if it's a circle, it's pe. If it's the two lines, it's be, and if it's nothing, then it's he. For kanji, I mainly just use the kanji app on my phone. It's in the App Store for iOS, but I'm not sure if it's on Android. However, I did pay $15 for the premium version to unlock JLPT N5 through N1 kanji. So if you want a free alternative, I'd use Anki, but this is important. You still are going to want to practice the stroke order on something like paper. Now, the app I use, I believe there's some stuff you can do on it for free, so do with that what you will. Next is vocab, which I basically just use Anki or YouTube and work on reading the words clearly and at a good speed, also trying to remember what the word means. Really not much to that. I mean, it's just vocab. Lastly for this week was reading, which I use the app Easy Japanese, and it has news stories in Japanese with the option of putting the furigana letters over the kanji to help you read the kanji correctly. If you don't know what those are, here they are. This app also lets you click on different kanji and words to see the meaning and how it sounds. Now, there is a premium version you can get, however, the free version I think works just fine for beginners. That pretty much wraps up the progress for this week, so on to chapter 3. Now, to finish out the first episode of the Humble Beginnings arc and how long it takes to really learn Japanese, we're going to talk about goals. So my goal for next week is to hit 15 hours total for studying, and my second goal is to be able to write every hiragana character in the correct stroke order with no help. I think it's important to set goals for yourself, especially when you're traversing an all-new terrain by yourself. This will help you have sort of a clearer direction of where it is you're trying to get to. For me, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, it's all about achieving native fluency really. So to start, my semi-long-term goal will be the JLPT N5. And after a few more weeks, I'll decide on a date to aim for taking the JLPT N5, which will coincidentally mark the beginning of the much anticipated JLPT N5 arc. But until that point, we must rise from humble beginnings and hone our hiragana and katakana characters while building a proper base and foundation for the terrifying kanji stroke orders, all while making sure our pronunciation is clean and crisp, our spirit is intact and unwavering. We all are subscribed to the channel and stand atop the rest with our slightly above average dedication and willpower. So, until next time, goodbye and good luck.